So it is that time of year when we are going to be visiting with Jan McNeilon again for Tips of the Month, and we're in a greenhouse because it's still pretty chilly out there.
It's mighty chilly outside, sure.
So what tips do you have for us this month, Jan?
Well, most of the tips revolve around the fact that I haven't really done anything since November.
It's not just because you're lazy. You've had a lot going on in your life,
No, actually, between pneumonia and shingles,
right.
I've been doing nothing.
So really, a lot of the stuff you're going to show us is what nature does all on her own, right?
Yeah, and I've got the best thing that happened was this new idea. If you don't plant bulbs in the fall and you leave them in a bucket and they have a little bit of water in them, you're going to have a nice big bouquet,
a nice beautiful bouquet
of daffodils. And I kept thinking as I walked by, oh, I got to plant those, I got to plant those. And so I just threw them in the greenhouse, and they had a little water in the bottom of the bucket left from rain, and that's all it needed was. And I came out and saw in the greenhouses they're just blooming like crazy. So all this is just a bucket full of bulbs.
Oh my goodness! And
hardly any water at this point. And so I'm not advocating doing this, but it could work.
Obviously it could.
And same thing with garlic. I mean, if you just leave little garlic cloves in, you're just all ready with with roots and all. So it's been a good test actually to find out things that you thought would freeze, and you didn't get to them, and then they didn't, and things that are making it through. And we didn't have a harsh winter, but we had some freezing temperatures.
We did, yeah.
Right now, the soil temperature, we just brought this in from outside. It was lower than 40. The soil was about 36 when we brought it in. So the take-home message is when the sun shines in February, March, and early April, and you feel like spring is here, summer's here, it's not. And that you just have to think about cool season crops and not planting too soon and not losing. I mean, the nurseries are full of good stuff right now, but a lot of it you cannot plant outside. If you have a greenhouse like this, you can get some things or some grow lights in the house or something. You can get some things that give it a head start. Sure. But planting tomatoes outside until, say, mid-May isn't going to work.
And you're still a big proponent of using a thermometer.
Soil
Just stick it in the ground and see what really is below the surface versus what we feel out top here.
Yeah, on the Extension website, there's on the Ag Communications, there's a publication called Growing Your Own.
Yeah. And
it lists vegetables, especially, on soil temperatures that you need it to be a certain temperature before they're going to do well. And if you plant things out before it's time, let's say you saw some marigolds and you want to put them in a pot at your front door right now in March, they're going to sit there and turn purple and not grow until the soil temperatures are high enough.
So really pay attention to that. And I have to ask you, what about roses? Is it too late for me to cut mine?
Well, it can't be too late because I haven't done ours yet.
That makes me feel better.
So the reason you do, in February is the time to prune your roses.
Sure.
And the reason you do that is so that you get that new growth, and the more new growth you have, you're going to have more roses and sooner. We're just not going to have them till mid-June instead of early June.
Well, and I have a question. We had a guy send us an email to the show and ask about coffee grounds because putting them on your yard. What do you have to say about that?
Well, coffee grounds are organic matter. It's the ground up beans.
Yeah.
And so you're adding organic matter. You're probably, helping to, like a compost, you're helping to loosen up the soil a little bit. You're not necessarily fertilizing anything. And some folks think that that reduces diseases if you put it around the base. And so maybe, but so would any other clean mulch that would keep water from dripping down onto the soil and back onto the plant for diseases. So I would say they're great to use. They're not necessarily any miracle cure for anything.
But certainly nothing wrong with just throwing it in the compost
Absolutely
pile
not.
either.
No. And mix it up with other things in the compost.
Well, I love this time with Jan because we have all been there where our winters didn't quite turn out the way they were supposed to, and we can see that nature can pretty much hobble on alone without us for some point.
I'm going to get out here pretty soon and start cleaning it up.
There you go. Thank you so much, Jan.
All right. See you next month.